Hello Internet. Today I'm going to have a look at the Nintendo eStore demo for Project Triangle Strategy, a new HD 2D tactical RPG by Square-Enix that was recently announced on Nintendo Direct. It has a very similar graphical style to Octopath Traveler, which was also by Square-Enix. However, the two don't appear to share any lore or characters at this stage, and they look to be entirely separate games. Japan also got an Octopath prequel last year, so it'd be pretty strange if they link them together after this initial announcement, but it's not hard to see the undeniable similarities. Project Triangle Strategy is clearly outlined as a working title, so we can expect it to change closer to the release date. However, they may simply drop the word project from the front, just as they did with Octopath Traveler once it came out of development. The demo available on the eShop now is a 1.6 gig download and drops you into the story partway through to give you a taste of what to expect. However, all the characters are only level 8, so you're still relatively close to the start of the game. This is a very story-heavy game and actually breaks into different phases to discover areas, take in the lore and storyline, and fight with the turn-based tactics style. And even though this is a demo, it's a good 5 to 10 minutes of story before you even get to move yourself freely. While there is no doubts that this is an RPG, I wouldn't go jumping into it expecting to run around slashing enemies and running dungeons like a Zelda or Final Fantasy title. This is a very different style of gameplay, and the role-playing side of things really kicks in when making narrative choices that alter your conviction based on the areas of utility, morality, and liberty, which changes the unfolding storyline. We start out taking an absolute money shot of exposition right in the face, in what can only be described as trying to understand the houses of Westeros in an elevator pitch. You really don't have time to remember the names of one lord and his house before two more are thrown at you. It's a bit overwhelming, and I hope that the final game takes a bit more time to tell the backstory, or at least a better delivery method, as it spends long enough already just trying to explain the breadcrumbs of who each of the large ensemble of cast members are and why they're in the situation that they're in. Breaking it down quickly, 3 kingdoms on a continent called Norzelia fought a war called the Salt Iron War over scant salt and iron resources. After the war there was peace for 30 years, and now there is a bad guy called Gustadolf from the kingdom of Esfrost who is waging war on the other 2 kingdoms. Being just a demo, I've not seen why they needed the preamble about war and peace to set up the story for another war, as the aptly named Salt Iron War alone probably could have made a storyline that was just as compelling. We take control in Chapter 6, playing Serenoa of House Wolfort, and a band of differently disciplined yet evenly skilled companions, one of which is his wife-to-be, who happens to be the sister of Gustadolf. We pick up the story as they arrive just in time to see mass slaughter of guards and the royalty of Glenbrook, and then they are asked to help get Prince Roland to safety after seeing his brother killed right in front of him. You head to the bridge for a quick discovery phase and then into combat once you get confirmation that a boat is on the way to get you. When we get into the tactical fighting, we see that pretty much every party member is a different class for this demo, including a spy, a spear knight, physician, shield bearer, scholar, conjurer, scout, and strategist, and a soldier. Combat uses a grid system and allows you to take a number of actions such as movement and attacking, which can be done in either order. There's plenty to play around with as each class has their own moveset, and as you progress through the initial fight, you can learn more abilities. It is very tactical in that the way characters and opponents are facing, whether or not they have the high ground, and whether or not you are backstabbing or flanking the enemy all have important bearings on how much damage you can do or receive. It actually reminds me a lot of the board game Gloomhaven, with the extensive range of how you could play each and every turn. However, the precise positioning of characters in Project Triangle Strategy is the differing feature. Something I've found interesting in this game is that almost the entire game can be fast forwarded, skipping the truly excellent voice acting and dialogue boxes to just power through into the next phase. However, I've found that the fast forward feature goes so fast that the storyline and the dialogue is just a complete blur, and you can't pick up any detail at all. The voice acting was amazing, and there's a happy middle ground where you can press the A button to auto-complete the text reveals and move to the next dialogue box once you've read it. Thankfully, you've always got the options there, which is something you really don't see catered for so extensively in RPGs. The battle mechanics are smooth and aren't all that hard to learn, but I will admit that my first play was a bit confusing. Having another crack the next day allowed things to sink in much easier and made the experience much more fun. Once you've held your ground on the bridge and escaped the Whitehome Castle in the Crown City, you retreat to Serenoa's native wool fort and are treated to some very cool cutscenes before really getting into the RPG elements, including talking to and persuading your companions toward your personal choice of either handing Roland over to the Esfrost army or defending him no matter the cost, and that culminates in each party members casting a ballot at the scales of conviction after you've lobbied for your opinion. Another mechanic rarely seen in games, yet so familiar to real-world politics. I won't go into much more detail, as I would urge anyone interested from here to go and download the demo and play through it yourself. Once I stopped expecting an RPG video game and accepted that it's more of a tactical strategy game based in a fantasy world, I had a lot more fun. If you're looking for a technical strategy game with a deep and rich fantasy storyline, and again, wonderful voice acting, Project Triangle Strategy is for you. I've been Thrax for Playtopia.com.au. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Feel free to check out our social media channels or join our Discord and talk some games with us.